Her explores a theme that's really plausible in the future with modern advances in AI and machine learning operating systems. Theodore, being fed up with his life, searches for an answer to his problems and gets OS1, hoping it'll make him feel better since he lacks deep human connection. Once Samantha, an AI, is introduced into his life, they form a really strong relationship and eventually start falling in love. What he didn't know is all of the complications that would come from dating an AI. Her follows classical Hollywood cinema storytelling because it's a linear film with a distinct 3-act structure. Act 1 explains why Theodore wants to form a connection in the first place, so he gets Samantha as a way to form a relationship with someone even though she's an AI. Act 2 is when Theodore and Samantha start getting into a romantic relationship and discover the many problems with having a romantic relationship between a human and an AI. Act 3 comes to the climax, when Samantha and all the other AIs leave, followed by the denouement of Theodore coming to terms with his new life. But where Her differs from classical Hollywood cinema is in not having a clear antagonist. The protagonist would obviously be Theodore, but the antagonist is too broad of a spectrum to narrow down since it encompasses so many things like technology, artificial intelligence, and big corporations. The genre of Her is a blend between sci-fi, romance, and drama. For the romance and drama side of things, the movie focuses on the stigma around dating apps. As for sci-fi, having an AI is a pretty clear sign of that genre. Her expands on this blend of genres by having a world where people form relationships with AI instead of the usual trope of an AI attacking humanity or using humans for their own gain. Apart from just the dangers of having a strong presence of AI integrated into society, there's also an ethical dilemma of whether dating an AI is even considered a real relationship. Theodore's ex-wife Catherine certainly doesn't think a relationship with an AI is considered a real relationship, even saying that it's sad since he can't meet a real human.
Wait,
That's only been
I'm sorry. You're dating your computer?
No.
But it does make me very sad that you can't handle real emotions.
Meanwhile, Paul and his girlfriend don't care at all, acting as if it wasn't any different from just dating a normal person.
Hey, you know what? We should all go out sometime. You bring Samantha, be double dating. She's an operating system. Cool. Let's do something fun.
There's definitely two different perspectives on this topic with plenty of gray area in between. Her asks you to draw your own conclusions from what it presents as opposed to pushing a message onto you. One thing that helps to achieve this is the very emotional editing style composed of continuity editing. There's a lot of slow camera movements and subtle camera shake that's not jarring. The sound design even makes it seem as though every person is isolated on their phone. During the subway scene, for example, the background noise is minimal and the only sound you hear is Theodore saying things in his phone and his phone responding to that.
Next.
China-India merger headed for regulatory approval in...
Next.
World trade deal stalled as talks break down between leaders.
Next.
Sexy daytime star Kimberly Ashford reveals provocative pregnancy photos.
Her uses montage effectively when Theodore is telling Samantha about his past relationship with Catherine. It shows a whole sequence of Theodore and Catherine progressing through life, happy at first, before growing apart. This makes the audience wonder if Samantha and Theodore will grow apart too. Sergei Eisenstein's approach to editing states that a shot has no meaning until it is put in contention with another shot in a montage. There are several uses of shots only making sense when placed by another because you can't see Samantha, so there are cutaways to shots to represent what Theodore is feeling at the time instead of having a normal back and forth conversation. The culture industry theory by Adorno and Horkheimer says that culture is no longer an autonomous tradition-bound activity specific to various social groups, but instead a mass-produced product, manufactured and driven by the goals of capitalist industry. This could be viewed as meta-commentary on the part of Her, since the film portrays the danger of big companies influencing people's lives, yet Her itself was portrayed by a large publishing company, Annapurna Pictures. This is also represented in the movie with a large tech company having such an influence over people's lives that people are able to fall in love with a matterless consciousness. Lastly, Marx argues that we have to consider the historical context in which films are produced. Clearly, Her takes inspiration from our own society with ever-advancing AI, technology, and reliance on apps to start relationships. Dating sites and apps make people question whether meeting someone online and forming a connection is normal or not, since there's still a lot of stigma around it. Her takes this idea a step further by having the person be an artificial consciousness that will never have any physical form. As people in today's society grow more reliant on their phones every day, it makes forming a relationship with an AI seem more and more plausible. In the end, Her smartly portrays the dangers of technology while offering many points for discussions centered around technology, artificial intelligence, and big corporations. One of the reasons I love sci-fi so much is it reflects our own society because the filmmakers are still influenced by society's beliefs and values. The filmmakers get the audience to ask questions of themselves and society as a whole. Her not only accomplishes this with its story, but through its editing, story structure, and societal context.